We always enjoy the Alabama football conversation with Stephen M. Smith from Touchdown Alabama. And of course, you can catch him every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube. In my own words, 6:30 Central. Stephen, how are we doing today?
Doing good, Mark. Doing good, man. We're getting geared up here. Spring football's coming in the next few weeks, next couple of weeks here or so. And looks like Coach King and DeBoer finally has the entire staff in Tuscaloosa. Now, he's got to finalize now where everybody will be at. But it seems like he's officially done filling out the coaching roster.
Good to get that done a couple weeks before spring rolls in with the players hitting the field and getting that coaching continuity for a new head coach, especially able to retain a couple guys in Freddie Roach, defensive line, Roger Gillespie as well at running back. So that's no easy task to do that. And then in addition to that, bringing in a couple new guys and Brian Ellis to coach the tight ends and Chris Kaplovich from Baylor to coach the offensive line.
Oh, absolutely. So Robert Gillespie and Freddie Roach, it was huge keeping both of those two just due to the character that they have on the recruiting trail. These young men, these high school athletes, both of those two. Both of these two can develop. We've seen what Robert Gillespie has done with running backs. We've seen what Freddie Roach has done with defensive linemen, primarily for Alabama last year. Getting Justin DEBOER to have a very big year after he suffered a neck spinal injury in the previous season. DEBOER this past year with 7 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss there. Did really well at the Senior Bowl, and looking forward to seeing what he does at the NFL Combine coming up. Freddie Roach also played a role in the growth and development and production of Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, both headed off to the NFL draft. And then when you look at guys like T.M. Keenan, T.M. Smith, Damon Payne, Freddie Roach played a role there as well. Jaheim Otis also. So you're seeing what both of these two have done in terms of their positional groups, in terms of recruiting. And King and DeBoer knows I got to keep some guys on the staff that are backbone staples of the program, especially during the Nick Saban era. And Robert Gillespie, Freddie Roach were kind of your two backbone staples there. When you look at Chris Kaplovich, long-term, long-tenured O-line coach, played offensive line at Missouri State University as an offensive tackle for 2 years, took that group to 2 conference championships during his junior and senior campaigns. Some of his best work as an O-line coach. We look at North Carolina, took Giovanni Bernard, did a lot of big stuff with him as a running back prior to him going to the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals, and did some great stuff there with their offensive line. And that group in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, helped out Mitch Trubisky have a 3,000-plus yard passing season, 30 touchdown passes there, and Trubisky became the number 2 overall pick in the 2017 NFL draft. So we saw Kaplivich's success there with North Carolina. You go to Michigan State, what he did 2021 with Kenneth Walker III, had Kenneth Walker, a 1,600-yard back, Doak Walker Award winner, a Walter Camp Award winner, a unanimous All-American. Of course, now Walker having success in the pros with the Seattle Seahawks. So we're seeing Kaplivich's imprint in terms of his offensive lines. He's been able to coach, recruit, build, and develop. So to get him in Tuscaloosa, it was a big deal there. And then to get Brian Ellis to be the tight ends coach coming over from Georgia Southern, the past 2 years, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach prior to Georgia Southern. I mean, here's a guy has worked at Western Kentucky. I did some big things there, coaching quarterbacks, coaching quarterbacks, being the offensive coordinator, coaching running backs and wide receivers. Brian Ellis also at USC as an offensive analyst and a quarterbacks coach. He was at UAB as a graduate assistant. He actually played quarterback at UAB from 2007 to 2011. So you get 2 guys in Brian Ellis, a young guy at 36 years of age, and Chris Kaplovich, long-time offensive line coach who was really good for King and DeBoer to get those things knocked in.
It's always a lot of insight and information when we get Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama here. Catch him each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on YouTube, 6:30 Central. In my own words, right here. Like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. Stephen, it's the 19th of February as we record. We are just about 2 weeks plus away from spring practice. That's exciting. At this time last year, it was the wide open quarterback competition that was gaining all the attention. What is going to catch your eye, do you think, first and foremost in evaluating spring practice?
Well, the first thing is going to be Mark, the offensive line. I've always said this. I'm a big man in a slender man's body. So you got to look at the offensive line first. When you lose, guys like J.C. Latham off to the NFL draft, you lose Seth McLaughlin to the transfer portal. He's now at Ohio State. You lost Terrence Ferguson to the transfer portal. He's now at Florida State. So there's some guys that you have to replace. However, you do have 3 guys returning that do have experience. With Tyler Bucker back, Jaden Roberts back, Elijah Pritchett back. You pull in some guys from the transfer portal with Naquil Bertrand from Texas A&M and also Parker Brailsford from Washington at that center position. So you lose some guys, you have some guys with experience returning, and you pull some guys from the portal. But the big thing here is with this timing offense that Kalen DeBoer likes to run, you got to have an offensive line that can block at the first level, get up to that second level, quickly handle a linebacker, and just be able to move and have that marquee, pure athleticism. You look at the last 2 years, Washington's offensive line only allowed, 16 sacks total to Michael Penix Jr., including 11 from this past season. Jalen Milroe, just alone last season, was sacked 44 times. So that's definitely a number he would like to get down. That's definitely a number Alabama fans would like to get down. And that's a number that Kalen DeBoer will try to work down. So this offensive line, definitely the group that I will have my eye on first and foremost under a coach Kaplovich.
Stephen, as we work through winter workouts, what are you hearing back from there? And in addition to just your own scouting report and what you know about some of these incoming freshmen of who may make an immediate splash?
Well, right now the guys are working their tails off, Mark, in the offseason program. David Ballou, the director of sports performance, is putting it on these guys in the weight room. I mean, these guys are deadlifting, they're bench pressing, they're power cleaning, they're doing all they can to get the strength there, to have the speed there, to put themselves in top physical shape when you talk about going into spring practice. In terms of freshmen, at the position I'm going to have my eyes on, Mark, the defensive secondary. It's going to be a young group back there, especially with Kool-Aid McKinstry off to the NFL draft, Terrion Arnold off to the NFL draft, Jalen Key off to the NFL draft. You lost Earl Little to the transfer portal. He's now at Florida State. You lost Antonio Kite to the portal. He's now at Auburn. You lost Des Ricks to the portal. He's now at Texas A&M. You lost Trey Amos to the portal. He's now at Ole Miss. So many guys that were lost to the portal to other programs, and you lose 3 guys to the NFL draft. You're going to have young defensive backs back there. The only guy returning with marquee big game experience is Malachi Moore in that defensive secondary room. Now, of course, you bring back Devontae Smith as well, but he suffered an injury. He had a foot injury last year. Didn't play all that much until the latter portion of the 2023 campaign. So a lot of freshmen, when you look at guys like Dre Kirkpatrick Jr., Xavier Brown, Peyton Woodyard, Xavier Mincy, Rydarius Morgan, a lot of these young men, they're going to have a shot to come in here and have an opportunity to battle for either getting a starting job or having some marquee playing time. And a lot of these freshmen very excited. You throw in Jalen Mbakwe as well in there, looking at some time there in that defensive secondary. Quite a few of these guys have been posting pictures on their social media of their locker room. So a lot of these guys are already getting acquainted with their new locker at the University of Alabama, whether it's Jalen Mbakwe, the 5-star from Clay Chalkville High School, whether it's Peyton Woodyard from St. John's Bosco High School in California, whether it's Big William Sanders from Brookwood High School here in the state of Alabama. Just several guys getting acquainted here with their locker in Tuscaloosa, with their locker in the program, and just very much so excited here for spring practice to start and kick off. But that defensive secondary is one where we could see a lot of these true freshmen from this 2024 class make their headway.
Nick Saban's career is defined by championships and high points, but it's also consistency in that this program was always winning double-digit games. You've got to go back to a 9-3 regular season. Of course, they won a 10th in the bowl game after 2010. But the win total, according to FanDuel and our friends in Vegas, is at 9.5, with an interesting trip up to Wisconsin in September. That's going to be fascinating. A long road trip for the Tide. Georgia's on the schedule, at Tennessee, at LSU. Of course, a revised SEC schedule that we have not seen the likes of since the divisions and the introduction of Arkansas and South Carolina in 1992 with East and West. Oklahoma on the road, and of course the Iron Bowl caps it all off. But 9.5 is the figure.
It's the figure because I think Vegas and everybody wants to see, with Coach Saban retiring, is that sense of stability still there? Because for 17 years, we saw players come and go, coaches come and go, but the man in the straw hat, Nick Saban, is still there. I mean, he's always there. He was that model for 17 years. Now he is removed from that equation. Vegas is now asking itself, can Kalen DeBoer invoke or provide that same kind of stability, that same type of consistency? And in year one, we're about to see that. So this is why Vegas and this is why so many other odds makers are giving Alabama, 9 wins to gauge, can Kalen DeBoer really provide that type of steady hand that Nick Saban did for almost 2 decades?
And one of the reasons why we see Kalen DeBoer on some of these most pressure in college football lists, that's usually not reserved for first-year head coaches. They usually get a grace period, but when you follow the greatest of all time, then you're expected to deliver.
You are expected to, but I go back to something that Coach DeBoer mentioned, Mark, in his introductory press conference back on January 13th. He said the only place I would have left Washington for was right here at the University of Alabama. He wanted this pressure. He embraces this pressure. He wanted this challenge. He wanted to be all in being the successor to Coach Saban. And many times when you ask coaches, do you want to succeed the greatest of all time? They immediately go, no, I don't want no part of that. Keep me far away from that. DeBoer says, bring it on. This is exactly what I want. And that's what really impressed Greg Byrne as the athletics director, seeing a guy that wanted this type of environment. I want to be the guy to succeed, Coach Saban. So you got to give him kudos for that. The main thing is going to be this spring, fans are going to get a glimpse to see everything. How does everything shape out from the offense, defense, special teams? These fans want to see it all. And it's going to be very intriguing to look at this A-Day game. How many people will pack it out inside Bryant-Denny? You go back to 2008, Saban's first major spring game, where people were wanting to know, is Saban truly the guy? The fans came out in full support. It was over 92,000 in there. How much support will Coach DeBoer get in his first spring game with him as the man?
He is Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama, and of course, he's here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6:30 Central for In My Own Words. Stephen, we always appreciate you stopping by, breaking things down for us.
Absolutely, Mark. I appreciate you.